static.
That's not static. Well, it could be considered static. This is the river of habit. River.
Should be a train, a freight train going about 200 miles an hour.
We have a picture. It's not a train. It's a river.
I thought it looked like a river.
It's not a train. It's a river. See, we can't even make our picture.
Yeah, it's a river. That's good.
It's a river.
I knew it was a river right away.
Thank you. Okay, that's the river of habit.
Okay, good.
Okay, so as you can well imagine, and in our river, we're going to use it as a whitewater river, okay? So you have that image, rapids. Rapids, we can't, okay, let's say there's a rock, right? There's our rock. And so that makes rapids, right? Here's another rock. So the river,
It's dangerous.
dangerous river of habit. Now you can imagine, rivers run no matter what, right? Pretty much, unless like it stops raining forever. We're in our river, we're going to assume that it's been raining plenty and that the river's rushing all the time. So we could stand there any moment of any day and there'd be the river rushing by. Fair enough? We're just agreed principle. Same with habit, yeah? Like they rush along, rushing river of habit. And let's imagine that our river runs at a pretty steady rate. So the rushing river of habit runs at a pretty steady rate, meaning it's a constant in your life. The temptation to habit is a constant force. Close enough to constant anyway. See, Joey's an artist and he said he knew it was water. So we passed the artist test. Okay. So the consistent flow of the rushing river of habit in your lives is always going on. Here comes the picture part. Okay. Imagine, if you will, that this is a canoe. That sort of looks like a canoe, right?
Good job.
The water's not
Yes.
exactly touching the canoe, but that's just being picky. And here you are in the canoe. We're going to pretend your legs are down there someplace. And we're going to give you a smile because we're optimistic. Well, the arms are coming.
Oh. Just now, like a balloon.
Here is, we didn't hear you, Mary. We can't keep addressing everyone's random comments, or we'll never get our picture drawn. Okay, just pretend those are arms. Okay. Okay. Now, in your canoe, you have a paddle, right? So
Good job.
That's not so
Excellent.
bad, huh?
Good
Not so
job.
bad.
Double-ended paddle.
Yeah.
It's a kayak.
That's a kayak.
Okay, but we didn't know how to draw a kayak, so we defaulted to canoe because canoe was easier. Okay, so you got a kayak paddle in a canoe. Whatever. You got one of these paddles, right? So you're in the river of habit. The paddle is free will. The paddle is free will.
Yeah.
Here it comes. For a lot of people, because they're inconsistent in the application of free will, your paddle is kind of short. They got one of these little paddles like that. So the river of habit runs consistently. Here you are with your little bitty paddle of free will because you haven't worked on free will, you haven't worked on being conscious, you haven't worked on realizing you're a creator, you think you're a victim. Victims don't even get a paddle, right? Because they crash into rocks.
They drop theirs.
Yeah, and life happens to them, not for them. Get it?
Up the creek without a paddle.
You're up the creek without a paddle. Renee gets points. Star for Renee for tying in. Tying in. As you work on being conscious, as you focus on being in the moment, focus on intention and attention and all the things that the Guardians and the Visionaries started talking about to you guys tonight, that kind of stuff. We're not gonna wreck our good picture because we're so proud of it. Not only does your paddle get longer, but the paddly part, gets bigger, so you have more of an impact on your flow in the river of habit. Now, don't take it so far that you're like, but wait, I'm only strong enough to work a paddle of a certain length. Don't go there. This is all just a metaphor. As you have a big paddle, you have more influence over the river of habit and how you travel it. Do you see?
Mm-hmm.
And when you see a big rock and you're heading for it and you say, how ridiculous does it have to get? Not for me. I don't get ridiculous. I use my paddle of free will to alter my course in the river of habit to avoid rocks. Now, we all get that, right? This is good, huh?
It was just good.
We knew you guys would like this one. Okay. What happens if you just say, I'm level 6, what trigger? And I get out of the canoe/kayak and I stand on the edge of the shore.
Right.
Right here. This is you standing on the shore. And you have a straight mouth, not a sad mouth. Don't misinterpret. We'll give you nose even and some hair. You have a straight mouth because this is neutral observation. Oh, God, how do you spell neutral?
N-E-U.
EU. Okay, thank you. Neutral obs. We'll make you a little smile because that looks sad. Okay, neutral observation is level 6, right? Level 6 is, we were going to play with that. Level 6 is the level where you stand on the shore, you watch the river of habit go by. It has that little impact on you. And you observe it neutrally because the river of habit is going to go trigger, 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 and you neutrally experience it because it's your choice whether or not to engage. And that's what they were talking to, someone was talking to you guys about last week. The idea of making that choice to engage with those previous patterns again. When you were talking about the librarian and somebody else was talking about something else, are you going to keep doing that? Or are you going to say, I refuse to keep doing that, I'm going to do something else, even if I have to make something up? Or if I can, stand on the side of the shore and be a neutral observation. Now, it's not always easy to be a neutral observation because sometimes you guys think neutral observation means numb. You think I can't feel if I'm in neutral observation. It's not true. You can feel a lot in neutral observation. But what you don't feel is that I have to go along with the river of habit. I get to use my free will to decide what I'm going to feel. Excuse us. I get my free will to decide. And I start from neutral observation rather than starting from fear and trying to backtrack. I start from neutral observation and decide what I choose to feel about this moment. You get that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Make sense?
absolutely.
Yes.
We're not sure you're pulling that one off quite yet, but it's good to have it in the cognition. We want you to have a big paddle. The way you get a big paddle is by being more conscious. Practice, practice, practice is another way to do it, yes. The question, ask yourself, you know you're in the river of habit. Even if you're pulling off neutral observation on this side of the river, you're not living there. Let's be real. No one's living in level 6 yet. But when you're in level 5 and you say, this trigger is mine, what you're doing is owning the fact that you're in the canoe, that you have the paddle, and that you have the ability to decide how you're going to navigate the river of habit. This trigger is mine, lets you navigate the river of habit. It puts you in the creator position, and it gives you the power to decide how to move through this place. The river of habit will be with you forever. All you have to do is go brush your teeth, wash your hair, anything you do in the shower, right? Half the time when you're driving at least, you're in the river of habit. You're in the river of habit. The river of habit is not a bad thing. When it gets shit done, it's okay, right? You know, it's nice if you can drive someplace safely. And if you do that sort of habitually, well, it's a good habit if you keep being habitually safely. It's when you have healthy habits we're not arguing with. It's when this habit says, be mean to yourself, fear authority figures, feel like you're not worthy, feel like you're never going to have money, feel like you're never going to have whatever it is you feel like you're never going to have. And you don't argue with it. You just hold your paddle level and you let the boat float and you don't say no. Can't have that, right? You don't like where your boat goes because you know what it does? It hits rocks. Or worse, much worse. Because at least if it hits a rock, you might be jolted out of your doldrums. Somewhere over here, we don't know where, maybe here, yeah, there's an eddy. You know what an eddy is, right?
Yes.
A
Whirlpool.
little whirlpool thing. You've seen them.
Mm-hmm.
oh God, if you don't use your free will paddle, this is what you end up in most of the time. You either go whooshing down and life is happening to you so fast and you feel like a victim the whole time. You hit rocks and you think life sucks and it's happening to you like a victim. But this is the place that light workers fear. This is the place. You guys would rather hit a rock than be in an eddy. But you're afraid when you get in eddies, and you're all in an eddy someplace in your life, right? Because this is not just one big life example. Anything that's going on in your life, you can ask yourself, am I in the boat? Am I in the little paddle? Am I in the big paddle? Am I hitting rocks? Am I in the eddy?